On rainy days, my mother would say to my brother and me, "Oh, go to the museum and play." And this was in the days when it was free. And so I grew up going to the museum with my brother. That was just what we did, on a rainy day. He ran to the, to the armor, and we ran to the mummies. But I was a very weird little girl and ran to the Renaissance triptychs of the Passion of Christ, of seeing a blue Christ being lowered from the cross, and Mary Magdalene crying enormous tears. And for some reason, that was my bliss. So I had a rather unusual growing up, I would say. Even though they were very high-minded and read, as they would call it, literature, and discussed literature, the family sort of guilty pleasure was going to Marx Brothers movies. Mm-hmm. So every weekend we'd go to the Translux and we would see a Marx Brothers movie, to the point that we knew them all by heart. And the four of us could reenact any scene whatsoever. And it was made very clear to me that there was nothing strange about, reading literature and wanting to write literature and laughing yourself liquid going to see the Marx Brothers. And so that influence, I think, particularly of seeing Harpo and then seeing My Serious Daddy. I mean, sometimes I laughed so hard we'd be ejected from the movie theater. A usher would come along, and it was made very clear to me that that one could sort of indulge in hijinks and get away with it. And so, I think my theatrical influence was the Marx Brothers. That was huge. I was so bad because I couldn't. There were too many words, and I didn't know. All of my writing was just so full of adjectives. And there was no action, and I didn't know how to control, the flow of language. And so the way I turned to playwriting was out of frustration. I thought I had to write something for the final class, and the story was so awful that I thought, well, I'm going to write a play. And I had never studied playwriting. I had never been in a play, but I thought, oh, well, I will write a play, because then I won't have to describe anything. I can just have characters doing things. And so I wrote this play called Closing Time, typically as a Sarah Lawrence girl about the end of the world. And my friend Jane Alexander was the reigning actress at Sarah Lawrence. And she read it and loved it and said, I want to produce it and direct it. And so when the theater department heard Jane say, I want to act in it and produce it, they didn't realize it was by a student. And they said, yes, sure. So they gave us the space. And I remember being in the theater where Painting Churches was being done, and coming down at the end of a rehearsal or something, and people were selling tickets. And I saw two people at the box office, and they were buying tickets to my play, and I heard them saying, oh yeah, let me just get out my credit card, what, $100 and something? And I thought, wait a minute, I'm earning this money. I'm making this money with my... And it had hadn't sunk in before, because I always had a very relaxed relationship with money. I never really thought about it. And I suddenly realized, oh, I can make money doing this. And I think I ran back into rehearsal and I said, do you realize people are paying to see this show? And I think that's changed. But when I came of age, I was sort of the only one that was married and had children. And I remember during rehearsal at the museum, I said, oh, I've got to go home and relieve the babysitter. And they said, what is a babysitter? Well, what do you mean a babysitter? I said, well, I have children. You have children? I said, yes, I'm a mother. And I was like this freak of this woman who was married with children. But now I think it's very different. And so many of the women who are really making it, which is thrilling to me, and they're not just, white Bostonian women either, but now so many women are, other races, and they are married, and or they're gay, and they have children, and I think that the scene has really changed, and it's gotten much more accepting and liberal, and I rejoice over that. But when I was coming of age, I was kind of kept out. But I felt then, and I feel now, that we haven't begun to be heard from. Mm-hmm. I think there's so much more that we can write.